Good morning, Bay Shore. You guys glad to be at church today? It is so good to see you guys. If we haven't met before, my name is Cotter, and I am one of the pastors here. And we have people in the building from all over. We got people that are here from Delaware, people from Maryland. We've got people from Virginia and New York. And I know for a fact that we have people in here from Pennsylvania because I saw you guys driving 30 miles an hour on Route 1 this morning. Just messing. Wherever you're from, we are so glad to have you here. And if you're not from around here, I'm assuming that you did not drive all the way to Delaware to spend your entire week in a basement. But here we are. You probably came here for the beach. And if it's your first time here, first of all, we'd love to meet you after the service. I'll be out in the lobby. Love to chat with you before you leave. But if it's your first time here, you may not know that we have a lot of friendly rivalries here at this church. So we've got a large group of Ravens fans. Ravens fans are kind of lame. We're not a big fan of the Ravens. But we've got a huge group of Eagles fans. That's what I'm talking about. We also have Nicola's Pizza fans. And we have Grotto's Pizza fans. And then we've got Aldi grocery shoppers. And we've got Giant grocery shoppers. Now, if you're noticing a trend, the correct answer is always second, okay? It's always the Eagles, it is Grotto Pizza, and it is Giant. But one of the questions that comes up around here a lot, too, is whether people are bigger fans of the pool or the beach. So, where are the people who prefer the pool? Like 3 people, because we're in a beach town. Where are the people that prefer the beach? All right, that's awesome. Now, I've always been in that group. I've always been like beach all the way. But this summer, my mind's been changing a little bit because I have to drive through traffic to get to the beach. I don't have to drive through traffic to go in the backyard and hop in the pool. You know, that's a totally different thing. When it's 95 degrees outside, I would much rather just walk into my backyard than hop in my car and go on Route 1. And all of this is made possible, of course, because my wife and I made a big investment this summer. We've been saving up money, and we decided to get a pool installed in our backyard. It took a lot of work. We were measuring out the backyard to see if we could get it to fit in there. We almost had to go to the HOA and get approval. This has been a whole entire process. And it was a big decision. We saved up a lot of money, but at the end of the day, we just wanted to do it for the kids. You know, as a parent, you got to do stuff for the kids. And so, you guys want to see our pool? Yeah. It's awesome. Might make you jealous. Let's put this up. Sometimes we can get both kids in the pool at the same time. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it is a good day. We got a picture of the kids we can put up in there. Neither of them are actually in the pool in that picture. But it's been hard to live without that $4.50. I mean, we have just been budgeting hard. We have just been cutting back this summer, but it's been worth it. And hey, we got people that watch church from all over. We got people that watch from their luxury Walmart pools on Sunday mornings. We got people that watch from the beach, people that are in Florida and Australia and all over. So can we make some noise for our online family today? Hey, that's awesome. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, if you're online this morning, we just want you to know that you are just as much a part of our Bay Shore family as all of us that are in the room. And we are so appreciative for you guys checking us out this morning and hanging out with us. And if you're ever in Rehoboth on a Sunday morning, we'd love for you to come and check out the basement and enjoy church with all of us. I've had so many conversations with people out in the lobby this summer where people have just said, like, hey, I've been watching online for a while and I finally got here in person. And they always say, like, the feeling of being in person and worshiping alongside everybody else at the church is just, like, unbeatable. Like, the community feeling, just kind of being here together is just, you can't match that just by being online. And that community, that's something that is so important. It is so good for all of us to have like-minded people around us, people who support us, people who relate to us, people we can laugh with, people who care about us. And that's the heart of our message today. Our message today is all about the importance of having people in our lives who support us and care about us and walk alongside us through life. So let's get into this today. We're going to be reading from the Old Testament this morning. We're going to be reading in the book of 1 Samuel. And we're going to be talking about a guy named David. David and Goliath David. That is the guy that we're talking about today. And he's the main person in the verses we're going to read. And in these verses that we're going to jump in at this time, King Saul, who was the king of Israel, he was trying to kill David. So he was going after David. He thought that David was a threat to him and his position as the king. And so he wanted to eliminate David and keep his power. So David is out in the desert. He's trying to keep a low profile. He's trying to stay out of Saul's path. And then there's a third person we're going to read about today. We got David, we got Saul, and this third person is named Jonathan. And Jonathan's situation is kind of complicated because Jonathan is best friends with David, so he wants to have David's back, but he's also Saul's son. So he's kind of in a conflicted spot. And so we're going to hop in here, and we say it every week, but we've got free Bibles out in the lobby. If you need a Bible, if you prefer to read the Bible on your phone, I love the YouVersion Bible app. I think it's one of the coolest apps out there. So wherever you're going to read your phone or a Bible from the lobby, we've also got everything on the screen this morning. So let's check this out. 1 Samuel 23, starting in verse 15. So it says, "While David was at Horesh in the desert of Ziph, he learned that Saul had come out to take his life. And Saul's son Jonathan went to David at Horesh and helped him find strength in God. 'Don't be afraid,' he said. 'My father Saul will not lay a hand on you. You will be king over Israel, and I will be second to you. Even my father Saul knows this.' The two of them made a covenant before the Lord. Then Jonathan went home, but David remained at Horesh." So David was at this place known as Horesh in the desert, and while he's there, he learns that Saul's trying to kill him. You think about how terrifying that had to be, to learn that the most powerful man around, the king, is coming after you, trying to kill you. And this is the same David, like we said, same David as David and Goliath, the same kid who stood up to the man that the whole army was afraid of. He had been described as a man after God's own heart. He'd already been told that he was going to be the future king of Israel. He had been a successful warrior in the army. So this man should have been confident. He should not have been scared of somebody coming trying to kill him, but he was terrified. He was afraid. He was hiding. And as a kid, David was so strong and confident. He had no fear, but here he was seriously struggling. And so let's place verse 16 back up on the screen again. So it says, "And Saul's son Jonathan went to David at Horesh and helped him find strength in God." So David's struggling. And in this time when he's weak, Jonathan goes out to him to help him find strength in God. And here's what I want us to see in this. David is this future king of Israel. He has defeated Goliath. He's done these amazing things. He's seen firsthand how great God is. He's seen firsthand how God can work miracles in any situation. And yet even David needed support. Even David needed an ally and an encourager. And we'll put this on the screen. This is our first point this morning because this is so important. It is that we all need community. We all need community. Just like David needed support when he was weak, we need support when we're struggling as well. We need people who are going to encourage us, who are going to make us laugh, people who are going to pray for us, people who will listen. Having people that are there for us when we're struggling is so important. And is there anybody in here that doesn't like to ask for help? Anybody that doesn't like to ask for help? You would rather just do it on your own and figure it out, make mistakes than ask for help. I can be like that sometimes. So our oldest son, he turned 3 earlier this month, which is crazy. We got a picture of him we can put up. That's him from last weekend. So he just turned 3, and we were like, he's grown up like so fast. We were skateboarding around the neighborhood last weekend, and I was like, he wasn't even like here like a little over 3 years ago. Just completely blowing my mind. And I remember like the months leading up to when he was born like it was yesterday. Like I remember all the things we were trying to get ready, all the books and podcasts we were absorbing and just trying to learn everything we could. And one of the biggest things we had to do during that time was get the house ready for him to come. And so we had, my wife had an office at the time in our house, which is funny to even think about. And so we had to convert that into a baby room. And so if you've been here the last few weeks, you've heard Pastor Joel's awesome series about money and using our money in a way that honors God. And so back then we were on the Dave Ramsey plan. Okay, so we were like trying to save money. We were trying to get ready for this baby as cheap as possible. And if you want to buy furniture for cheap, you go to one place. You go to IKEA. IKEA has everything for like $20. You want a bed? $20. Now, we got like a crib. It's like one of those 3-in-1 cribs. It was $80. It's completely crazy. And it's a real crib. I didn't know if it was real, like when we paid $80. And so we got a crib. We got like these little toy bins for his toys. And then we got a clothes dresser for him. And thing about IKEA, if you've ever bought something from them, is that no matter how big the thing is that you're buying, it's going to come in a really tiny box. And I thought that was awesome because I have a really tiny car. And so I was like, okay, we got tiny boxes. I can carry them up the stairs. I didn't realize how difficult everything from IKEA is to put together. It's like impossible. And so I put the crib together. It was no big deal. I put the toy bins together. No big deal. But that clothes dresser, I will never forget putting that thing together. The longest day of Jack Bauer's life was when he saved the world in season 1 of 24. The longest day of my life was putting together that clothes dresser. I will never get that out of my head. Now, did I ask for help? No. Did I look up YouTube videos? Absolutely not. I was going to figure it out on my own. And it took me all day because I didn't ask for help. And can anyone else relate to that feeling of just not wanting to ask for help, just wanting to try to figure it out on your own? This is something that we do. We try to just be self-sufficient. We try to take care of our own problems without reaching out for support. But we need support. We need support. David had so many reasons for him to be self-sufficient, but even he needed Jonathan to encourage him. And we need people around us who will encourage us. And one of the best ways we can find a group of people who can be our support is through a Bay Shore group. And a Bay Shore group or a small group, it's a group of people that meet together regularly, whether it's once a week or once a month. They spend time getting to know each other. They spend time reading the Bible together. They spend time praying together. And the beauty of small groups is you can have these people that you can connect with about life. You connect with them about the good things in life, like common interests, activities. You can connect with them about the deep things in life, like relational struggles, family struggles, issues at work, health struggles. In a small group, you have meaningful relationships with people that care about you, people who are invested in you, people who encourage and support you. And they're such a crucial part of the life of a Jesus follower and really anyone, because if you're on the fence about following Jesus, a Bay Shore group is a perfect place to ask any questions you have about what it means to follow Jesus. We all need people around us who are going to encourage us, people around us who will challenge us, people who are going to celebrate the good things in life and support us when difficult things happen. And that's what groups are. It's having a group of people that know you, that care about you, and that want to go through life by your side. We all need community. And Bay Shore groups are the best place to find that community. Now let's look back at verse 16. We'll put this back on the screen. And I kind of want to look at this verse in a different way, same verse, but let's look at it from Jonathan's perspective this time. So David's in this difficult situation. He's on the run. And Jonathan, being his friend, he knew this. And so let's look at how Jonathan responded. And Saul's son Jonathan went to David at Horesh and helped him find strength in God. Jonathan went to David. And that brings us to our second point this morning, which is that we strengthen each other in Jesus. We strengthen each other in Jesus. Jonathan made an intentional effort to travel to David and help him. He knew David was struggling, so he made him a priority. He traveled to him. He spent time with him. He listened to David's struggles. He helped him. He encouraged him to trust in God with the situation. And when we're going through challenges, we need people that are going to listen. We need people that will spend time with us, people that will give us wisdom, people that will remind us to seek God in our situation. And when Jonathan traveled out to David, he was giving up his time and his energy for his friend. His friend was in this really low spot, and he wanted to go out and pick him up. And that's what we see in this verse, is that he made David's relationship with God a priority. This verse says that he helped David find strength in God. Now, back when I was in college, back when I was a freshman in college, which, man, college feels further and further away every time I think about it. And back that first year, I was a part of this Christian group that met on campus. And we basically had church services on campus. We'd have a local pastor come in. We'd have a worship team. And there's this real big group of us that would meet. And during my first year there was this senior, this guy named Brian. And he came to me and he said, hey man, I'd love to hang out with you and just read the Bible and just hang out and talk about life and just get together once a week and do that. And he was like, would you be interested in that? I was like, I'm an awkward freshman with no friends. I would absolutely be up for that. And so we started hanging out. And so every week we'd just get together. We would talk about life. We'd talk about baseball and other sports. We would just kind of catch up on life. And then we would read the Bible together. And It was the coolest thing because I was in a spot in my life where like I didn't have a whole lot of support. I didn't have many people around that I could just kind of hang out with, people I could just kind of talk to about life. I didn't have a lot of people that were showing me how to live for Jesus. I didn't have a lot of people that were just kind of like caring about me. And so Brian coming into my life, that was a game changer because he cared about me. We could watch sports together. We could talk about school. We could play games together. And he was also there showing me what it meant to live for Jesus. He was showing me how to read the Bible. He was showing me how to pray. And that friendship, that mentorship, it didn't happen by accident. Brian had to make an intentional effort to invest in my life. He had to set aside a couple hours of his time each week to hang out with me and to lead me. And he was in his senior year of school. Like it was his last year of freedom before going into work. And instead of just kind of doing whatever he wanted, he chose to invest in me and he chose to spend his time pouring into me. And that's kind of what we see here from Jonathan as he goes out to David. Jonathan dropped everything that he had going on to be there for his friend. And that's what having community is all about. Because he cared about David and he wanted to encourage him. He wanted to cheer him up. He wanted to remind him of how good God is. So he goes to David and he listens. He spends time with him and he encourages David to trust in God. And I think what we need to ask ourselves is, who are the people in my life that do that for me? Who are the people in my life that do that for me? Who can I call on a rough day? Who can I vent to about my frustrations and my challenges? Who reminds me to pray? Who reminds me to read my Bible? Who's there as a close friend? Who's encouraging me to find strength in God when I'm struggling? We need that. We need those people in our lives. And the best place to find those people is through a small group, because those are the people that are going to stick with you. Those are going to be the people who are going to be your encouragers. They're going to be your support. And they're going to remind you to make God a priority. When I'm going through things in my life, I've got 4 guys that I can reach out to. My buddy Jeremy, Sam, my buddy Taylor, and my buddy Michael. And those are my guys. And all those guys I met almost 15 years ago in a small group. And they're my guys. Like, they're my sounding board. They're my encouragement, because I know that if I need really good, solid advice, if I need somebody that's going to listen to what I have going on, if I need somebody who's going to encourage me in my faith, those are the guys that are going to point me in the right direction. And it's so important for all of us to find those relationships, to find those people who we can rely on and people who are going to help us find strength in Jesus. And what Jonathan did for David, what my buddy Brian, what my small group friends have done for me, it reminds me of some of the verses that I've read in the book of Hebrews. And so let's look at these verses together. This is Hebrews 3, starting in verse 12. So it says, "See to it, brothers and sisters, that none of you has a sinful, unbelieving heart that turns away from the living God, but encourage one another daily, as long as it is called today, so that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness. We've come to share in Christ if, indeed, we hold our original conviction firmly to the very end." We need to encourage one another daily. Encourage one another daily. We need encouragement every day, and we need to be encouraging others every day. Sin and unbelief, what these verses talk about, those things are all around us in this world. And we need other Jesus followers who are continually encouraging us every day to live the right way. Now, how many of you guys are getting excited about football season? Anybody getting excited? I'm getting pumped up. I've been watching preseason football, which is so boring, but I will do anything because I am so excited about football season. It's like 3 weeks away. And throughout the year, like, I'm not a big TV person. Like, I don't watch a lot of TV, but I'll watch sports, and I love watching like NFL documentaries, like the ones that take you behind the scenes. I think it's so cool to like get in the heads of these like elite athletes and coaches and see what makes them like tick and everything. I just think it's so unique. And so one of the documentaries that I read or watched this week was a documentary about the Buffalo Bills, and it was about the Buffalo Bills in the early 1990s. Buffalo Bills fan, I was thinking about you this week. And so the Buffalo Bills, they are a team that has not won a whole lot, but they had this one stretch from in the early 1990s where they were in the Super Bowl every single year for 4 straight years. 4 straight years. Now, they never won that game in those 4 straight years. And so the documentary, it was following them when they went into the 4th game. So they've been there, heartbreak, year after year after year. They get there the fourth time, and it said the players just had this mindset going in, like something bad is going to happen, and they just didn't know when it was going to happen. And so they're in this game, they're in the Super Bowl, biggest game of the year, and they go through the first half, nothing bad has happened. They're doing good, they're leading. They get out in the second half, this one play goes against them, and they interviewed one of the players on this team at that moment, and he said, that was the moment we lost the game. He said, it wasn't because that one play went against us, but he said normally when a play would go bad, everybody's on the sidelines, they're cheering each other up. They say, hey, that's just one play, like we can go get them next time, like it's okay, let's go do this. And he said at that moment, everyone was silent. He said nobody talked to each other. Nobody encouraged each other. They all were just completely silent. And I thought that was so interesting because in life, we're always hitting obstacles. Whether it is big challenges with our health, our finances, our relationships, or if it's smaller challenges like a flat tire, whether it's issues at work, difficulties in parenting, each day we're hitting a different obstacle, whether it's big or small, and we need encouragement to get through those obstacles. These verses say to encourage one another daily. Every day we need encouragement. We need people who are telling us to push through. We need people who are sending us Bible verses. We need people who are praying for us. We need encouragement because when obstacles come, what happens is if our eyes are on God and then an obstacle comes, our eyes go off of God and we start looking at whatever's right in front of us. Whatever the problem is, that's what our eyes are on. And we need people that are going to come over to us, that are going to have our back and say, hey, get your eyes off of the problem, get your eyes back on God. We need that encouragement. That Buffalo Bills team, after that one play happened, nobody encouraged each other. They lost the game. They completely collapsed because nobody was saying, hey, get your mind right. And we need that. We need people that are going to say, hey, get your eyes off of the problem. Get your eyes off of the obstacle. God is bigger than that. We want to follow Jesus, not just today, not just tomorrow, but like what these verses say, we want to follow Jesus firmly to the very end. And that's why we need a group of people that are encouraging us in our faith. That's why we need support and community, because bad days are going to happen. Bad stretches of life are going to happen where we're discouraged and we're struggling, and we need people who can help pull us out of that and who can remind us of the goal, people who can remind us of how good God is even when we can't see it. When David was being hunted down by the king, he needed his friend Jonathan. He needed support. He needed encouragement. He needed perspective. Small groups are so important because they're a place where we can find those relationships. They're a place where we can be surrounded by other Jesus followers that are going to be there for us, and they're going to help us remain on the right track living for Jesus. And small groups are also a place where we can be that person for others. We can be the encourager when others are struggling. My wife and I are in a couples group here, and it has been so awesome to be in this group for the past year. We've made so many relationships in this group. And there's some weeks that we show up to small group and we have just been having a long week and we just need encouragement from the rest of the group. And then there's other weeks where we've had a good week and we can be the ones who are encouraging the other people in our group. And every week, every single person in our small group, we all benefit from having made friendships with other people that love Jesus. Other people that genuinely care about each other, who pray for each other during the week, who encourage each other during the week. Small groups are so important to give us the tools, the relationship, and the encouragement we need to stay on track in our faith. Now let's go back to these verses from 1 Samuel one more time. We've seen in these verses how Jonathan went to David to give him strength in Jesus. And there's something very specific that he said. So let's look at this. This is what Jonathan said to David. Don't be afraid, he said. My father Saul will not lay a hand on you. You'll be king over Israel, and I will be second to you. Even my father Saul knows this. So Jonathan here, he's reminding David of God's promises. He's reminding him of God's promises. Earlier in the book of 1 Samuel, earlier in David's life, David was told that he'd be the future king of Israel. And so right here, Jonathan is reminding David of that. He's reminding David that God was in control of his situation, and even a man as powerful as the king could not interfere with God's plan. God's plan was for David to be the king of Israel, so Saul wasn't going to kill David. And Jonathan was telling him, there's no reason to fear. The victory is already won. Saul could try as hard as he wanted, but God had already promised to keep David safe. And this brings us to our final point today, and that's how Jonathan encouraged David. And it's the best way that we can encourage others. That is that we remind each other of the promises of Jesus. We remind each other of the promises of Jesus. And this is so important because regular encouragement is huge. We need regular encouragement, but biblical encouragement is so powerful. Say you're trying to make a big decision in life, whether you are thinking about buying a house or making a move or making a career change, whatever it is. If you have a friend that comes to you and says, hey, you got this. Like you're going to make a great decision. Take your time. You're going to do the right thing. That's good encouragement. Like that's solid. We need that kind of stuff. But if you have another friend that comes to you and says, hey, check out Proverbs 16:9. It says, in their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. So God has a plan for your life. He knows what your future holds. Lean on him. Pray about this decision. Spend time reading your Bible, and God is going to lead you to the right choice. That is powerful biblical encouragement. There's no fluff in there. It's encouragement that is straight from the Bible. It is encouragement that is rooted in God's promises for our lives. And in that encouragement, there's security and there is certainty. Biblical encouragement is so powerful, and that's another element of what you're going to find in small groups is people who love Jesus that can give you meaningful biblical encouragement. People who can share with you about times that they've seen God provide for them. People who can share verses that encourage them and prayers that encourage them. People who can share helpful habits that they use to stay on track, trying to keep Jesus at the core of their lives. Look, it's so vital for us to have a community of Jesus followers who are reminding us of how great God is and how great his plan is for our lives. We need that. We need biblical encouragement. We need accountability. We need friendships. And we need people who are going to help us push through hard times. Our message today, it's called Better Together. And that's something that I 100% believe because joining a small group is something that makes all of our lives better. It provides us with the relationships that we need, not just to get through another week, but to thrive in our week. It gives us the tools to grow in our relationships, and it gives us encouragement and opportunities to encourage others. And if you're not in a small group, I really encourage you to get involved in one. We've got like 1 million of them here at our church. And if you haven't seen our list, you can go to bayshore.online. That's just like our website. You just type bayshore.online in whatever browser you're on, and you can see our groups. And look, we've got groups for marriage. We've got groups for couples. We've got groups for parenting young kids. We've got a group for parenting teens and young adults. We've got a men's group. We've got multiple women's groups. We've got a prayer group. We've got a celebrate recovery group. We've got an activity group that bikes together, that kayaks together, that is going to a concert together tonight and sharing a meal and devotions together. We've got a bowling group. We've got a small business owners group. We've got a group that serves food to the community once a month. We've got a care team that takes care of people in our church. There's so many options for you to find a community of believers that you can connect with and develop relationships with. So I encourage you, get involved in a group. You're going to see your relationships with Jesus and the people around you change. You're going to have a community of Jesus followers that are going to support you, who will encourage you and who will pray for you. And small groups, they have changed my life. Like they've had such a huge impact on my love for Jesus. And I've been in groups or led groups for the majority of the last 15 years. And I'm so thankful for the relationships that I've made in those groups. Like I would not be the same person that I am today without the community and the relationships that have come from those groups. I believe that if you engage in a Bay Shore group, that you will see your love for Jesus, your love for your community, and your love for others grow in ways you can't imagine. I believe that you will see the strength that you have when you face challenges in life. You will just be blown away because like, man, I have people that are around me that are pushing me forward even when life is trying to push me down. Let's pray. God, I thank you so much for just Jonathan's example of going out to David. I thank you for showing us what it looks like to have community and what the benefits of that community are. And God, I pray for everybody here, Lord. I pray that you would help them to find a community of believers that can be their support, that can remind them of how great you are. And God, if anybody's here this morning and they haven't placed their faith in you, I pray that they would make today that day, because living for you is the best life. It is the best life, the most fulfilling life every day. I pray, God, that you would always just help us to be grateful for all the many blessings we have, God. You give us so many blessings. Every moment that we have to breathe and be alive is just such a blessing. And so we're so grateful for everything you've done for us. We pray this in your name. Amen.